You are listening to VORW Radio International, the voice of the report of the week. So that first song, of course, Tiny Dancer by Elton John, one of his most famous pieces, released in 1971, off his album Madman Across the Water. Now the second tune, albeit a bit rarer, I'm sure we all recognize the melody, of course, Here Comes the Sun, but this is actually, of course, a cover of the piece by the Swedish classical guitarist, I believe he's Swedish. If I had the internet, I'd fact check it, but his name is Goran Schulte. Pardon me if it's mispronounced. But this is off his 1995 album, Here, There, and Everywhere. Goran Schulte plays the Beatles, and that's his rendition of Here Comes the Sun. He's a very talented classical guitarist, and I don't know how many people have heard of him, but he really does a good job. He's a very talented professional musician. If you are listening to this broadcast right now, let me know that you're out there tuned in. You could email me at vorwinfo@gmail.com. It's vorwinfo@gmail.com. Last I was able to use the internet in a public place. I got down some of the names of the folks who wrote into last week's broadcast. I'd like to shout out all of our listeners from last week right now, just in order. So thank you to Ekna, Grant, Sophia, Noah, Angela, Kate, Sarah, Casey, Gary, Thomas, Adelise, Tom, Lou, Dimitri, Mateus, Brad, Michelle, Theo, and Stevie. So thank you all for being tuned into this broadcast last week. I was able to get to all of your emails and see your feedback, reception reports, comments, and music requests. So thank you all for being tuned in last week. It's great to hear from all of you. And if you all are tuned in this week, I hope you all enjoy this broadcast. Also, of course, to the sponsors of this broadcast, Becky and Koki Hansen and James. I'm sure you guys requested songs, and unfortunately I'm just not able to play them at this point. So, save the requests. I'm going to get to those songs next week. And, then after that I figure it'll just be business as usual. If you are listening to this broadcast right now, you can likely hear it on the international shortwave frequencies of 9395, 9455, 7490, 9400, and also possibly 9955 kilohertz. Our flagship relay station here in the beautiful Sunshine State of Florida, WRMI, they're located in Okeechobee, Florida, which obviously got hit by Hurricane Irma a lot harder than Central Florida did. They're recovering. Thankfully, they were unfortunately damaged, but thankfully the damage was not, didn't make them completely inoperable for good. Of course, the power was out, and because they used very high-power transmitters, their own generator wasn't able to power them all. But power has been restored. They have a service on 9395 on low power, so maybe in the immediate vicinity you might be able to hear me on it, if you're still maybe listening in Florida on a battery-operated hand-crank radio. Welcome. Also, they have full power back to 9455, 9955 as well, so listeners in the southwestern U.S. and also in Central South America can tune in as well. But unfortunately, they did have a few metaphorical casualties. A lot of their transmission lines were damaged by the storm, and I did receive reports that one of their antennas that broadcasts to Eastern North America and Europe and the Middle East was destroyed, possibly beyond repair, by the storm. However, they do have other antennas that can cover that same ground, and they plan to just use those in the meantime. So once everything is restored, it won't be the end of the world in that regard. It's so sad to hear, but I figure considering, the strength of this hurricane and where they were located when it impacted, it's great to see that the station really did survive in one piece, and that all the employees of the station, as well as their families, even their pets they mentioned too, are all safe and sound and doing well from the storm. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now for the feature of the program, you can say. For those of you new listeners, this is simply my style of, I guess, lecturing and monologuing. I'll simply just tell a story in a casual manner, but just tell a story. So this is my Hurricane Irma experience, and it certainly was an experience, I'll tell you that. It has its twists, and its turns, and its ups, and its downs, but it's an experience, and it's one that I'm never going to forget, I can guarantee you that. Of course, we begin a few weeks ago, about likely a week and a half ago. Everyone at the time was focused on Hurricane Harvey. You know, the national media, the public. I certainly was. As a matter of fact, I had just given a lecture on Hurricane Harvey, and as I said, the need to purchase shortwave radios, battery-powered radios, hand-crank radios, so you never know when a natural disaster can occur, and they are the sole means of receiving information when all else fails. And I was saying, in light of Hurricane Harvey, please prepare yourself. And about a day after that, I have a tendency to check weather sites and examine the tropics, because meteorology interests me. I like tropical weather. I sometimes like tracking these storms and just keeping an eye on things. And I remember looking at Hurricane Irma, and I was reading a few news articles about how it started, I believe it's just a tropical wave off of West Africa there. And it began strengthening at this unprecedented rate, where it went from absolutely nothing to a Category 3 hurricane in an extremely short period of time. And that already caught the attention of the media because of that. But it was so far out at that point, no one really knew accurately where it was going to go. It was something to talk about in regards of being an interesting storm as to how it strengthened so much. But beyond that, there was just nothing that they could really say. So it wasn't really on the radar at all. At this time of year, of course, hurricanes form all the time. I mean, every single year you get at least almost a dozen. And many of them form exactly that same way, and then they just peter out, they become a fish storm, they just go out into the ocean, and, that's it, or they make landfall, but not in the U.S., and they hit somewhere that the media doesn't care about, and they rarely ever cover it. They say, oh, so-and-so people died, and that's it. That's sad, honestly, but that's the truth of it all. And that's usually how they end up. Hurricane Irma, of course, ended up back in the news when it started strengthening again. Now all of a sudden, it was Category 2, then a 3, then back to a Category 2 storm. Still a very powerful hurricane, but it was kind of fluctuating. Then all of a sudden it goes up to a Category 4. And then the long-range tracks start emerging. And they start getting troubling. The first tracks for Hurricane Irma, of course, were showing that it was going to hit New York City. And that had me worried, because I have some family up in New York. And the infrastructure up there, I'll be quite honest, it's not meant to deal with hurricanes. They can still hit New York. I mean, just look at Hurricane Irene in 2011 and Hurricane Sandy in 2012. And those were Category, I believe both of them were Category 1s. Irene may have just been a tropical storm when it made landfall. Hurricane Sandy was a 1. And they devastated the area. The houses up there, they're just wood frame houses. They're not meant to withstand such powerful winds. So I was very worried when they started forecasting long range that Hurricane Irma was going to hit New York. It was so far out, though, of course, we all know that those models were obviously incorrect, but I was concerned. And that's when I really started monitoring it closely, checking every couple of times a day.